house had 3 different names we've heard. One was Grove House, one was Ruby House, and the other one was Fort Washington.
Oh, well, no, they're all strange to me. I hadn't heard any of those. No, we just used ourselves, like the Christian Brothers, Mill Street, like as an address. But
and did you have classrooms there as well, or was it just living?
no, just living.
Okay.
And there was one mighty ballroom there with the bay windows.
Yeah, we called that the ballroom.
Right. Well, good. Well, it wasn't used as a ballroom. It was more looked upon as a storeroom. It was never furnished as part of the living part of it. You know,
Okay.
it was there. It was not being used really. You know, things were put in there, unless they did before my time. But when I was here,
And there were 6 of you in it, was it? How many of you were in it?
5, I think.
5 in it, yeah.
5, yeah.
And how many rooms did you use? Cause
Oh,
like this,
where we lived upstairs. No. Oh yes. When we went up the stairs, you went along the corridor, and before you came to the end of the corridor, there was a room into your left. Brother Freely used to be there.
Okay.
You went beyond that and you went up 3 steps,
Yeah.
and you had a room up there. It was a bedroom, but like, who was in it at the time? I can't recall being in it, because I was in the room beside Brother Freely's,
Okay. Yeah.
and there was a window boarded up in it. It was, as far as I can recall, it was on the left-hand side, and that's where the ghost used to come in.
The famous ghost called Nuncle.
Same, you have
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Did you see Nuncle?
I didn't behave.
Because one of the Christian brothers is supposed to have seen.
Well, no,
Nuncle.
I'll tell you a story about it. We had one of the men down at the time. The headquarters would always come to visit all the houses every year. He used to be called just the visitor, and he was in the room opposite my one.
Okay.
Now, my one was looking out in the garden side, and the other one was opposite
On the street side.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was in there, and it was Brother Helian that was in the room at the time. Now, he had been there long before my time, so this is going back a bit. And of course I get mixed stories mixed up now, but the general gist of it is anyway, that he saw or heard some noise, and the ghost, or he had been correcting copybooks or something, and he had him sitting on the table beside his bed, and they finished upside down under the table beside the bed, and the visitor had heard this noise or whatever he heard, and he went to the superior the next day to say that he wasn't staying in the house another night. And he went off to Letterfrack and told them in Letterfrack what had happened to him in the house there. No, that was the only hint I got that there was somebody there, except Brother Flaherty. He was in the room up the 3 steps.
Yeah, the big room.
Ahead.
Yeah.
Right. He was up there, and he was going on holidays the next day, and he felt a presence rather than saw anything. And I says, why didn't you come down to me? Well, I said, I knew if I left the room I wouldn't go back. So, yeah, that's, well, I know, personally I didn't see or hear anything.
Well, it's in the records of the house. It's
Is
documented, yeah. And it's exactly as you said it. The table was upside down and the paperwork underneath it.
Right.
And they said it was because the ghost was so disgusted at the poor workmanship in the copybooks that he decided to play tricks on it.
Right.
Did you ever use the basement?
No, use it. I can't say that we did. At least I've no recollection.
Where was the kitchen?
No, that's another thing. Wait till I think, where was the kitchen? Where was the kitchen? We had the dining room. Was a big room on the other side of the corridor from that ballroom, facing out the back.
Did it face out onto the street or onto the garden?
Onto the garden.
Okay, that's the room that is going to be a kitchen now.
Mm.
Yeah, that's south facing.
Right, but
When you were in it, there was no houses facing out, side away from the street.
there was no houses.
When you looked out the front door,
garden.
look out the front door.
Or towards the railway.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the garden.
That was the garden.
And we had the garden up as far as the boundary of the railway.
Mm.
And
was it nice?
oh, it was, because, oh God, I remember we sowing spuds in it.
Did you?
Yes, Muggins did the digging. So I was digging, Brother Hayes was spreading the manure, and who was it? God, there was a third one. Oh yeah, Paddy, the workman. I forget what Paddy's name was. He was sowing the spuds. There was someone helping him to putting down the potatoes, and then as he put them down, I was covering them again.
Oh, yeah.
So like it was a mighty effort
Hard.
to get it all done.
And did you have a full field there, or was it just a small patch?
Well,
It was a good stretch up to the railway line.
yeah.
There, right. Yeah.
Well, now we had a patch big enough for what do you call it? Or I was going to say table tennis, but lawn tennis.
Oh, was you?
Yeah, and before I went there, they used to play in it quite a bit.
Okay.
But when I was there, we only did it a little bit because
Was there a monument up there someplace? Ever? Did you ever see a monument up there?
I didn't know.
There was supposed to be a monument.
Yeah, because George Clendenning, who lived there in the
Yeah.
1800s, his daughter was killed in a riding accident on that hill.
All right.
And apparently that's why the house faces that way instead of onto
Oh,
the street.
onto the street,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So apparently there is a monument somewhere, but we haven't found it yet. And nobody
Oh,
seems to
well,
know where it
no,
is, but everyone seems to know there is one there somewhere.
Mm.
Yeah, but I have no recollection of seeing one. No, the only thing about that. Oh yes, there were trees up at the top apparently before the railway, and the man next door had been one of the men next door. I put it that way. Where would that put? Maybe where the Mordens are now or something. He had been a lumberjack in Canada, and one of the trees above was inclined to tilting towards the railway line, and they got him to knock the tree without it coming onto the railway.
Yeah.
And even though the tree was leaning that way, he got
You got to fall back.
went sideways. And he
Sideways,
off the watchline. It didn't do any damage.
And did that happen in your time there now?
No.
Some
I
stage.
used to hear them talking about that.
And were you ever down the cellars?
I was, but I can't remember.
There's a big well in one of them.
Yes, well, and I was talking to the young fella yesterday about when I was there. I just asked him, we knew the lad, I says, that lost the tin can in the well. He was sent up for a bucket of water, and he let it fall into the well. And of course, wise enough of him, he didn't try to retrieve it, because like, it was dark down there.
It was dark, yeah.
And you could see to look down, you could see the shiny thing or the below the bottom. But instead of going back home and telling them, he ran away and hid. Yeah, and
Was that place well furnished?
the house.
The house, yeah. Was there much furniture, pictures and
Well, no,
antiques or anything in it? Or
I doubt there was any antiques.
that time
I
there
just
were-
don't know.
You can't remember. Yeah.
No. The only thing I do know that was peculiar about it, that between the floorboards, just turf they used as a
Still there?
insulator.
It's
Yeah.
still there.
Is it still
If you'd
there?
like to come and see it on Thursday, you're more than welcome.
No, I'd be around on Thursday, all right.
If you want to.
Oh, go down and have a walk
Yeah.
through it too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah.
yeah, it'd be nice.
Because you guys put electricity into it apparently.
Oh, I suppose,
The Christian brothers
yeah,
put in the electricity. And the wiring is still there, so we're taking it out at the moment.
Right, making it
Stripping
safe.
it out, yeah.
Always. But the thing I remember about the floorboard, the chimney went on fire in the sitting room, and Brother Freely, first thing he got was a bath of water, and had it inside and in front of the fire, and he had rags and things soaked in the water and because as the salt was burning, it was falling down.
That's right.
And he was afraid to come out onto the floor, and he knowing that there was turf between the boards anyway, it would only help to, if it got hold.
Yeah.
So that's the way he controlled it.
Apparently that's a really unusual way of construction, because there have been heritage people going through the building.
Is that right?
And the builders can't believe, they said it's extremely rare to see that.
The turf.
Oh, I'd say it is. I never heard of it. And like, if I was just told it, I'd take it as a bit of a yarn.
Yeah.
But it was true, all right.
Well, you can see it now again.
Yeah.
Definitely there,
Yeah. And where was your sitting room then?
The sitting room. Oh, it was at the top of the stairs. No. Instead of going into Brother Flaherty's room, up the 3 steps,
Yeah.
we went to the room that was over to the right.
To the left.
Or to the
Left,
left, yeah.
The first one, was it to the left?
Were there 2 doors there?
There's one door in one side and then another door in the other. Yeah, there would be 2 doors there.
Well, it was, I have no
In
mental
there.
picture of it.
No,
now,
it doesn't
but,
matter.
it was in there, and that's where we used to have the
Okay.
recreation.
So you didn't have any living room downstairs at all?
No.
On the ground floor?
No, we had.
So the kitchen must have been there then?
Well, the kitchen was downstairs, all right, but like, I don't know exactly where.
It was probably on the room facing the street.
No, maybe if it was facing to that side of the house, all right, but I just can't think myself now. I have no mental picture of where the kitchen was.
If you saw it, you'd probably
Yeah,
remember.
I recognise it.
Who did you know in Westport that time?
Who did I know? Who was it? Well, of course, we had
Who was the parish priest?
Father Cummins.
Oh yes, I remember him. Yeah.
And there was another little priest there, Father Pat Gallan. And
So was he from Ballinasloe, was he? No?
I forget now where he was from.
Yeah, go on,
Except
yeah.
that they used to come in the same mass in the house now and again. I forget, it was regular, but I forget now how often. Or
And had you a room set aside for that little church?
no, we had a chapel.
Chapel
We had a chapel upstairs.
upstairs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which
we
room?
had. Where was the chapel? Yes, I have a picture of it all right, but when you came out the door, what was outside on the landing, I forget. It was in the front of the house.
Okay, so it's probably where the pink room is now.
It's a big room.
Even though I thought that was your room, the pink room. But because there was a second stairs going up as well.
Going up to.
You had the
Oh,
main
I see.
staircase
The back
and then you
stairs.
had the back stairs.
Oh, yes, the back stairs coming up from the side door. That's right. Oh, like a lot of it is
We'll
jumbled
know
up
on
in my head.
Thursday if you come.
Right.
You can
Right.
see.
And what other priests were here that time? Can you remember
Your father, Pat
the? Oh,
Gallan.
Galan, yeah. Oh, I remember him actually.
But the thing I remember about him was he said he liked the people here and he'd love to stay in it, he says. You see, he never got, he would have loved to have got involved with the football and things, but he was just making sure that he wouldn't be shifted out here. So he didn't get involved with anybody. But he came in one day, the IRA had sent a train into the station in Derry. They took the engine driver off it some miles out the road and set the train off into the station with no driver, and it hit the bumpers and caused horrible noise. And Pat says, you know, as a kid, I haven't thought of doing anything like that. He says, but I can't condone it. I can't.
So it was funny.
Yeah. And now there was another priest there now, they just can't put a name on him at the minute.
Well, Father O'Malley, no? Eamon O'Malley, no?
That's not ringing a bell with me.
Not ringing a bell, yeah.
What about Tony King?
No, he's way after that. And you didn't know that the nuns in the convent, any of them at that time, no?
No.
Or the Reverend Mother, or...
Well, no, well, I suppose we used to be up there at Mass in the morning, and Brother Killeen, who was in Westport after my time.
Yeah.
He was in charge of the secondary school here, and his sister was the Reverend Mother above in the convent.
Oh.
No, I forget her name, but between the two of them, they had the whole education of Westport between them. Yeah.
Did you know Brother McKinney?
Oh yes, indeed.
Yeah. He still works, I think, doesn't he?
Oh, he's in Westport. He's in
Chum,
Galway.
yeah. Chum.
Oh, a Chum,
Yeah.
right. Oh, it isn't too long ago since I met him. See, he's from Oma,
Okay. Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
and his brother died, I think it was maybe 2 years ago now. He hasn't come up as often as he used, like the draws and the other. But I've been talking to him. No, I'm 85. He's about 3 years ahead of me.